Howdy there, y'all. Welcome back. Happy Skews Day to you. It is January 11th, 2022. I'm Trey Crowder. That's Mark Agee. What's up, Mark?
What's up, Trey? Have you been reading about crypto land?
I've I've so far stayed entirely out of the crypto waters. I can't keep up with all the crypto stuff that's going on.
So a bunch of dudes were going to create a mint a coin, create a crypto coin, and with by buying into it, what you'd be doing is crowdfunding, buying a libertarian paradise island they'd all live on together, right?
Ah,
They
yes.
made it. They made a very silly video presentation in which I cannot describe to you accurately that you'll think I'm making it up, but it immediately devolved into like all libertarian escapades too. Someone asked what the age of consent would be on crypto land.
That's a tough question for libertarians.
It is.
Age of
Uh,
consent presents a conundrum for a libertarian.
it does, because how can you have a land with no laws but have one important law that everyone thinks is gross?
Yeah, maybe just the one law at least you should maybe
Yeah.
have.
So they started
Yeah.
deleting everything. Someone asked, "Will murder be legal there?" And they didn't have an answer to it. So,
Yeah. Well,
so
it's
yeah,
almost
it's like,
like libertarians don't entirely think it completely through or something.
do you remember that really hilarious viral video from I think the Libertarian primary in 2012, where Gary Johnson ends up being the nominee every time, but he's not very popular among them because he's not insane. He just wants to legalize weed. So they have this big debate, and it said that one of the questions goes, should you need a driver's license to drive a car? And Gary Johnson goes, well, I think to operate a motor vehicle, there should be some set of standard. Boo!
Yeah.
And then some guy goes, "What's next? Needing government permission to toast my damn toast in the toaster?" It's like,
They're
yeah,
wild.
yeah.
Libertarians, man. There's something else. I feel like the internet loves to. I feel like devolving into an argument over age of consent laws is like a time honored depths of the internet tradition. You know what I mean?
They got no answer to the question because they might want the government out of their business, but some of them have teenage daughters, so
Right.
therein lies the
Yeah, it's
yeah,
tough for them.
yeah.
All right. So, with us as always is producer Matt. This is Weekly Skews. Want to remind you if you're vaccinated, want to see me live, you can go to wellreadcomedy.com. For tickets and information, we'll be in Springfield and then Chicago, Illinois this weekend. Sure, it'll be nice and toasty there, the sunny, warm climes of Illinois, but we're going to have a good time. Hope y'all come out and see us. Plenty of other places after that. Wellreadcomedy.com. Okay, on the show tonight, going to be talking about the very latest bleeding edge COVID treatments emerging from the American right, which involve taking a lot of Prozac and some other drugs I can't even hardly pronounce. And also, they're drinking pee now, y'all. That's right, drinking pee to own the libs 2022. Am I right? And we got something that's fun for the whole family. Ted Cruz getting publicly humiliated by his own kind. Fauci throws down with some other GOP senators and more. But first, the Daily Dumbass, Matt Graphic. Tonight's DD, Elmo for being too PC to call COVID the Wuhan flu. That's right. Here's Tucker Carlson with the latest outrage from Sesame Street.
Listen to this segment in which NPR's news division informs us that our long national nightmare is finally over, and thank God. Sesame Street has finally hired an Asian American puppet. Watch.
This year, the show welcomed a new character, electric guitar playing Ji Young, the first Asian American Muppet in its history.
I think, the sort of genesis of Jiyoung was accelerated with the rise in hate crimes against Asians this year.
Yeah, the rise in hate crimes against Asians committed by all those Trump supporters, that spurred Sesame Street to get an Asian Muppet, and it spurred NPR to celebrate it. Now, this is a big change. If you remember Sesame Street, there was Big Bird and Cookie Monster. They didn't seem to have ethnicities. In fact, that was the point. There was no tribalism on Sesame Street. That's why they used animals, not people. Not anymore. According to NPR, the ethnicity of the Sesame Street Muppets is the most important thing. And not just on Sesame Street, in all entertainment and art and culture.
All right. So, a couple things. One, it's weird to me. You want to consider yourself a serious intellectual. Like we've talked about them going after Sesame Street probably 5 times in the past year and a half since we've been doing this show. And it's like, how do you consider yourself a serious intellectual movement when your arch rival is fucking Sesame Street? Right?
Yeah, I know. They seem to get really they get their panties in a real bunch over Sesame Street all the time. Sesame Street just really digs at them, like the owning the conservatives. That's what Sesame Street's good at. It's also funny to me that, like, I don't know how to put this. They're outraged at Sesame Street, feeling outraged enough to do a thing. Like, it's like their whole thing is like, did we really need this? And it's like, do you really need to give a shit about it? Do you know what I mean? Like, why do you care at all that there's an Asian Muppet on set? Back in my day, Muppets were blue and ate cookies and sang songs and counted to 10, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like such a one-sided fight. It's like it'd be like if Tupac picking a rap beef with a rapping granny from a Pepsi commercial or some shit. It's totally like it's imbalanced to a degree where like very few people watch Sesame Street. They're mostly young children. Also, Jim Henson was a hippie. Yeah, public television's programming has always been like, let's be nice to each other and let's be inclusive. Mr.
Diversity and inclusion have long since been like cornerstones of Sesame Street. I mean, I remember I watched it when I was a kid. When my boys were younger, they watched it, and I watched it some then. I didn't remember that Sesame Street, like I remember watching an episode with my boys, and they did a Boardwalk Empire parody. Like they did, Sesame Street would do parody sketches of like Game of Thrones and stuff like that, which I had forgotten they do that. And, pretty rad, because obviously the kids have no idea, throwing us a little bit of a bone there. But yes, diversity's been a huge, fundamental building block of what they tried, the message they try to impart on Sesame Street since forever. So
Their two human hosts when I was a kid were Gordon and Maria, and Gordon was black and Maria was Latina. And of course, there's a straight up Caucasian Muppet named Julia. I looked it up. And also, of course, Grover's white because he has a confidence to think he can be a superhero and doesn't even lift, bro. So what are we doing here? Like, who cares? Like 30 years ago, the part they've been masked about wouldn't have been the fact she's Asian, but she plays an electric guitar because she's gonna like get your kids to love the devil's music or some shit. So like, it's just I don't know, man. I say this unironically: grow the fuck up and stop watching Sesame Street. You work at Fox News.
Absolutely. All right, but so Tucker Carlson, just the worst, right? Well, maybe not literally the worst, but I know you're thinking, like, how could Tucker Carlson possibly come out on the right? How could Tucker Carlson ever do anything that I enjoyed? Well, you failed to consider him having Ted Cruz on the program. So let's
called this a terror attack when by no definition was it a terror attack. That's a lie. You told that lie on purpose, and I'm wondering why you did.
Well, Tucker, thank you for having me on. When you aired your episode last night, I sent you a text shortly thereafter and said, listen, I'd like to go on because the way I phrased things yesterday, it was sloppy and it was frankly dumb. And
I don't buy that. Whoa. I don't buy that. Look, I've known you a long time, since before you went to the Senate. You were a Supreme Court contender. You take words as seriously as any man who's ever served in the Senate. And every word, you repeated that phrase. I do not believe that you used that accidentally. I just don't.
So, Tucker.
He goes on to say he talks about you were on the short list of the Supreme Court, which is really funny because I was living in Texas when Cruz was a Solicitor General there, and his big case argument from the Supreme Court was Texas had passed an anti-sex toy law, and he was in front of the Supreme Court arguing there's no constitutional right to jerk off. So that was Ted Cruz's big career break.
I mean, so to be clear, like. Well, first of all, this was very effective. Ted Cruz really got just full on whipped into, bending the knee by this. They got ripped up into a fervor over his comments. He had to go on Twitter, make a big apology, all this stuff. And so that's what's fun, is watching Ted Cruz grovel. But of course, just to be entirely clear, I fully feel that what Tucker Carlson is saying here is also very stupid.
Oh,
in
yeah.
my opinion, it's good to see him like dunking on Ted Cruz, but the foundation of the argument, of course, I ain't with. I don't. If you look at the literal definition of the word terrorist, it's using, like, I'm just making it up off the top of my head, but like using active violence in order to coerce a people or a government into doing what you want to see done, essentially, to get your ideology reflected through using violence. I don't know how you could describe January 6th in any other. I mean, there's a bunch of other ways, but that one certainly fits. So just for the record.
Yeah. You're trying to kill a bunch of politicians to stop the election from being certified. It's a fairly clear definition of political violence, whichever insurrection, terrorism, whatever. I mean, I was reading Explainer the other day why it doesn't necessarily mean the legal definition, the way federal law is written. But prosecutors are historically very creative when they want to put someone in jail. So I don't necessarily buy that they're following the letter of the law. But yeah, you're right. He did. He did put out a Twitter thread apology. There was like just a whole thread of just fucking groveling. Even though you're right, he is right. Could have just defended himself. But the second video of him on Tucker is even worse. Just watch this fucking weasel squirm because it's really enjoyable.
Against cops, and you and I both agree, if you commit violence against cops, you should go to jail.
Yeah, but you're not a terrorist. You're not. You're a guy who assaulted a cop. Okay, so there's a legal difference, as you well know better than I do, since you were actually in the running for the Supreme Court. And there's a moral difference between a guy.
But Tucker, the reason I use that word is for a decade I've used that word for people that violently assault cops. I use that word all in 2020 for the Antifa and BLM terrorists that assaulted cops and firebombed police cars. But I agree, it was a mistake to use the word yesterday because the Democrats and the corporate media have so politicized it. They're trying to paint everyone as a terrorist, and it's a lie. Exactly. And by the way, I've spoken out vocally against your exchange you just had. They want to paint us as Nazis. Yes,
I know, it's scary.
That is what they're trying to do.
Right.
And I just
the first part of this, what Tucker's talking about, like, you're just assaulted a cop, it's not terror. The thing about terrorism is just like the difference between manslaughter and murder. The point is the intent of your act, right? It's not the act itself.
Yeah, what result are you trying to achieve with the act? Right.
It's like if you blow up, if you set off a pipe bomb in a dumpster because you're fucking around with your buddy, it's just a teenager redneck fucking around. If you set off a pipe bomb in a military recruiting station, you're going to get get hit with a different charge. So these guys are all pretending to be dumber than they are, which is their whole fucking job.
Also, just how terrified of Tucker Carlson is Ted Cruz. Do you know what I mean? Like, just getting horsewhipped by him live on the air with no shame whatsoever. Like, his constituents can't make him do a damn thing. You know what I mean? But Tucker Carlson says jump and he laces up his Jordans.
It is. Like, dignity is not even the wrong word for this, but like we've talked about this before. Like, I think everyone sees themselves as the protagonist of reality, and like acts like they're going to live forever. And the most important thing in the universe is their fulfillment or advancement. Like, Ted Cruz wouldn't jump on a grenade to save his buddies because he thinks he's destined to be president, right? So I can't imagine. I don't understand why he still thinks he's going to be president after, since everyone fucking hates him. But he still thinks he has to do this dance routine to keep his job and maybe move up. But like the idea that like nothing is worth, no amount of debasement is worth standing up for. Like, he wants to be commander in chief, but he won't defend his own fucking wife, right? These are the same people who humiliated his wife, have humiliated him repeatedly, and he will not be like, you know what, fuck this. I'm coming to your studio, Tucker, and one of us is going to the hospital. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, stand up for yourself, man. Have some goddamn pride. There's got to be a bottom to this, right?
Yeah, but to stand up for yourself, you need to have a spine, and Ted Cruz is a noted invertebrate.
Someone dug up a list of stuff he said about, like, if you watch him backtrack solely for the last year, when he thought, like, because the real moment, because the biggest obstacle with him becoming president is Trump, right? So January 6th presented an opportunity for a clean break. January 7th, you have this graphic from MSNBC, Matt. January 7th, he called it a despicable act of terrorism. January 8th, yesterday's terrorist attack was a horrific assault on our democracy. January 8th, we saw a terrorist attack on the United States Capitol. May 28th, January 6th terrorist attack at the Capitol was a dark moment in our nation's history. He was still on calling it. He's been calling it a terrorist attack consistently for the past year. Now he's on TV trying to bend over and put his head in his own asshole to get out of a thing he said repeatedly. Just like, have some dignity, man.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. It's like that's what makes him just such the worst, is because like in this one particular thing, he is right. Like he is the correct one here, and yet because of the way he's handling it all and just ingratiating himself to the media overlords at Fox News and just in front, full view of the conservative nation and everything, he still comes out looking like just the most sniveling, greasy, pathetic worm you could imagine in the halls of Congress.
It's not even working because like everyone's still like here's a clip of Trump's former whatever in the White House, Sebastian Gorka. If you have that clip, Matt, if you show a short chunk of it.
I don't care. I just tweeted one thing, Grant. I'm done. I am done with Ted Cruz. He always made me feel a little bit hinky. I know he's super smart. He went to Harvard. Alan Dershowitz said he's one of his brightest students. But what he did
fucking
betrayed the truth when he said, terrorists? Really? Grandmother?
Yeah. And then Matt, like, so this is in the context where like, what was it Jim Acosta said? I made a note here. Anyway, he called it Jim Acosta carried him to reek from Game of Thrones. Anderson Cooper described him as, quote, assuming the position, and then pathetic was trending on Twitter. And this is Matt Gaetz's attempt to defend Cruz as his friend. So let's check this out.
The establishment will never love you, Ted. You can bend over at bended knee for them, but they're just not going to love you. I think that was maybe an effort by the good senator who we.
So bend over and bended knee are two different metaphors.
They are.
I appreciate that. Yeah. He worked in both of them. So it
don't matter. Front, back, whichever one you're presenting to them, they're still, listen, they're always going to hate you. There's just not much you can do, Ted. And you're right. It's like it's him. That's him trying to like make him feel better or whatever, give him some encouragement.
We actually, this last clip, it's had the intended effect. We don't need to show it, Matt, because it's too much context to explain the conspiracy theory. But he did what he was supposed to do, and he's fully he's behaving like a whipped dog. He spent the day at a congressional hearing about January 6th, interrogating the FBI about whether or not there's a guy with the Oath Keepers who was a federal informant who's cooperating. It's not clear whether they're saying he's a federal informant beforehand, so therefore helped lead the insurrection on behalf of the FBI. It's from a misreading of charging documents, but they're still leaning into it. And Ted Cruz, again, was Solicitor General of Texas and went to fucking Harvard Law School or the Yale, whatever he went. He understands how to read charging documents. He's being an idiot. So yeah, they beat him into submission, just like Reek from Game of Thrones. There you go. So Reek ended up having some dignity at some point.
Right. Yeah, there will be no redemption for Ted Cruz. All right, our next honorable mention for Daily Dumbass. All these people out here who are focusing on Ted Cruz and terrorists and what was it not, when it comes to January 6th, instead of focusing on what really matters, the size of the crowd that day. That's right. Here's Donald Trump crawling out of his hole.
Everything was going beautifully. And then the election got rigged and stolen from the American people. And by the way, that's the reason they went in massive numbers. They don't cover the numbers of people. They always show the Capitol with a very small, just a tiny percentage of the people that were there. They never show helicopter pictures of that incredible crowd because it was the largest crowd I've ever spoken before. I've never had a crowd. I've never seen a crowd that big.
It was massive.
It was the real number. I won't say because it'll be a headline. Oh, he exaggerated the number. The real number was over that sacred number. Okay,
yeah.
You know what that number was, right?
I do.
And I don't even talk about that.
I don't know if she does.
Yeah.
And they don't talk about it. I don't go with it. But I'll tell you, the crowd itself was the biggest crowd I've ever, and I've spoken before the biggest crowds, the biggest crowd I've ever spoken by far, by numerous times, I think. And nobody ever shows the pictures of that. They show me speaking, but they never show who I'm speaking to because they don't want. That was anger over a rigged election that got many people to go to D.C.
I think we get it.
Yeah, so it's funny to me because on the one hand, it was all FBI and Antifa.
Right.
On the other hand, look how many of them there were.
Yeah, so many Antifas showed up.
There to support me, but try to overthrow me. But also, we didn't do it. But look how powerful of a force we were.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I for once I know what he's doing, but I want one of his supporters to diagram what they think he's saying.
Right.
Yeah. And
yeah. No. What do you have any idea when he talks about the sacred number in the middle there? You have any idea what that is about?
No,
is that just
not
him
at all.
being ridiculous and it's absurd and doesn't make any sense, or is that some kind of like, I don't know, a reference they would understand? I guess
he gets his news from his aides printing stuff off like obscure right-wing blogs that are QAnon adjacent, and QAnon's really into like numerology and gematria stuff. So it's possible there's some sort of sacred number that he's referencing that he read somewhere that he doesn't know. But yeah, I don't know. There's no. I know of no sacred number.
Yeah, and the way he said it, he was like, "You know the number," and she was like, "Yeah, I do." And I'm not convinced that she knows the number either.
I mean, like, I'm just guessing 42069. I don't know. What number would you think is important? Yeah, there you go.
All right, our next honorable mention: all of us libs for forcing these good, God-fearing Christian conservatives to talk about wieners and sex and stuff. Apparently, here's Sarah Palin. This is Sarah Palin, Mark.
Yes,
she's still out there doing it. I had no idea.
Still out there doing it.
Let's have it, Matt.
Things that have to do with privacy and sex. The liberals, not the conservatives, are the one who pound after that. And
got that right. Damn straight, Sarah Palin. Out here pounding in these streets and in the sheets. Am I right?
The context of that.
That's what we do. We are the sex, but we are the sex, side. We're the side of sex.
Sure.
All
the
of
context
it.
of
Any
that
kind
was
you want to do. It's all
Fox News went crazy last week because AOC was in Miami hanging out with her boyfriend without a mask on in an outdoor restaurant. And there seems to be this, like, if you, like, when I was home, I was talking to people that seem to assume, like, everything is closed here in New York or whatever. But, like, you can eat outside with a mask, without a mask in LA and New York, or every city in America, as far as I know.
How are you supposed to not? I mean, talking about specifically at a restaurant, you're there to eat food. Yeah. Literally, how are you supposed to do that with a mask on? You're supposed to just put it down and put your, edamame, I assume, liberals are into your mouth, and then put the mask back up. Like,
Yeah, so they went crazy and it became a meme. Like, she's either a hypocrite or she fled to the free state of Florida. That was the way of putting it. And she essentially just tweeted, like, "Why are you guys so obsessed with me?" Do you, like, basically accuse them of wanting to have sex with her? So that was the context for us. She's yelling about liberals always talking about sex. When we've talked this before, but the reason Fox News is so obsessed with the 400th most important congressperson is purely because, one, she calls herself a socialist, which is scary, and two, she's pretty to look at, which, so there's two ways to get the grandpas all riled up, right? So she's not wrong. So yeah, there you go. That was AOC's turn the bucket with Sarah Palin talking about pound. Liberals always we don't want to talk about sex, but liberals always pounding away. So there you go.
Pounding and pounding. That's right. Yeah, AOC and Sesame Street, man. Nothing gets them quite as riled up as those two. That odd coupling. All right. So our final honorable mention for Daily Dumbass is Dr. Fauci's screaming pillow, the pillow he screams into at night, for not being prepared for the hearing he recently had with some GOP senators. I don't know how this man maintains the level of composure that he still manages to do. But let's watch the first clip here.
You are totally incorrect.
Well, we look forward to reviewing it.
Senator Marshall, Dr. Fauci has answered you. It is public information, and he's happy to give it to you if you would ask. Senator Moran.
What a moron.
If you guys couldn't hear that on the mic after the dialogue has ceased on the mic, you can hear Fauci go, "What a moron." Jesus Christ.
That senator, he's from Kansas. I can't remember his name right now, but he was trying to ask Fauci if he would disclose his financial investments, just like senators and Congress people have to do. And he goes, "I do file a financial disclosure. You can just look it up." And he goes, like, "Well, I couldn't find it." So Fauci's trying to be like, "Go to the website. Right. Go to the fucking website."
Probably a lot of things you can't find, you dipshit. What don't mean you're not there.
He's like, I will send it to you. Do you want me to send it to you? And it was like they went round and round circles and dumb shit like that all day. But yeah, because like the guy tried to filter it through. Well, big tech is censoring your financial disclosure. It's like you don't know how to Google, so you're blaming Google. I don't know what the fucking it's the whole thing's a mess. Yeah, the whole hearing was nuts. Fauci and Rand Paul got into it again. Fauci correctly pointed out that Rand Paul, every time Rand Paul berates him in front of Congress with a bunch of lies, he gets a lot of death threats. So he has to travel, him and his family both have to have personal security. And that led to this, which Fauci owns it pretty good here.
Why would Senator want to do this? So go to Rand Paul website and you see Fire Dr. Fauci with a little box that says contribute here. You can do $5, $10, $20, $100. So you are making a catastrophic epidemic for your political gain. So the
you have
thing
politically attacked your colleags and in a politically reprehensible
That's
way.
the mess.
So are those donations? Did they just go to Rand Paul or his campaign or whatever, or is there some like specific pot that's like the Fire Fauci fund that he actually goes into? Or it's literally just click this button to fire Fauci, and they just write Rand Paul a check, and that's how it works. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, like Fauci's not perfect. I'm not like whether or not. I mean, it just really hits for me. He talks like Tweety Bird.
Yeah.
I'll never not appreciate that. But yeah, the whole thing, like there's lots of crazy shit happened in that hearing. That same people asked a bunch of bullshit. People asked him about ivermectin. Again, we're a year and a half of talking about fucking horse dewormer. But in honor of Bama losing the title game, let's talk about their senator Tommy Tuberville. Hit this video, Matt, if you got it.
I just got a simple question. Of all of you up there, and whoever wants to answer this, if you have a problem and your coordinates, who do you go to? Who is the head coach of this virus that you have to go to, whether it's in the administration, whether it's one of you? Dr. Fauci, who do we go to?
The person who's in charge of that is Jeff Zients, who
in
is
the White House.
At the White House, and we meet very, very regularly. The entire medical team is.
Who's the head coach? If you had to, so what kind of defense would you say the virus is running here, Dr. Fauci? We got a cover two situation, more of an old school 46. What are we looking at here? What can we do to fill the A gap against this deep? I just prefer if we could keep this here into just football terminology only. I would appreciate that. Is there a Hail Mary, perhaps, we could try on this? How would the virus respond to the flea flicker? Anyway, go ahead, Mark.
If the listeners don't know, Tommy Tuberville became famous enough to become a U.S. senator by being a football coach in the South.
Auburn mostly, and
and he wasn't great, was he? You followed college football way closer than I do.
He was he hung around at Auburn for a while, but he never was all that great.
Yeah. So he's basically asking if to filter everything through with one thing he understands, which is brabbing college football players to go play for him. But the idea that it's explain this thing, pick another profession. I don't know, but what if you were played saxophone? You're like, is this more like a high C or like a? God, these people are so fucking stupid. Literally, he could Google who's in charge of the White House COVID task force, right?
It's like I don't know. They have to have something to ask or something. Sometimes I feel like they just.
Well, they succeeded to make it. Yeah, they succeeded to make Fauci the face of America's COVID response when he doesn't have any actual power. All the CDC, the National Institute of Health, just makes some recommendations. So they don't have the power to. They make guidelines for what they think should happen, but nobody has the power to force you to do anything. They just there's a bunch of nerds over there being like, "Hey, wear an orange vest when you ride your bike at night." It's like that level of shit.
Yeah, buckle your seatbelt. Well, they do have laws for that.
Yeah.
So you said they asked about ivermectin again. That got brought back up, but ivermectin's old hat, ain't it, Mark? Let's get into it. I mean, I'm sure they're still out here taking it, but they're on to bigger and dumber things now.
Yeah. So to the main topic tonight, and I guess our biggest dumbass is anyone who didn't know they could cure COVID if they were flexible enough to kick their legs over their head, because the big cure is drinking pee, Trey.
Yeah.
Drink your own pee.
Who knew? Do you remember? Do you remember in Daily Dumbass? Probably. I mean, it's probably been close to 6 months ago now. We talked about a Knoxville lady who went on a big pee drinking tirade at like a city council meeting or something like that. Well, dude, she was ahead of her time. She was streets ahead. She's not getting the credit she deserves right now because she was out there saying it. And I don't remember if we ever said this on the show, but fun fact, me and Mark did not know this when we were talking about it, but found out after the fact that that lady was a bridesmaid in one of our best friends' weddings. One of our best friend's wife's best friends was the pee drinking lady from Knoxville. So that was fun.
Yeah. I don't think they talk anymore. They went to they went to two different sides of the woo-woo health
pee drinking fence.
Yeah. So there's this guy who's running around. He's gone viral. He's gone viral a few times. I don't think we've ever talked about him before. His name is Christopher
Key. It
Christopher Key.
Because one of my best friends in the world is Chris Key. I grew up with in Salina, but this guy's Christopher, so I can separate him a little bit. But my Chris Key actually texted me this guy earlier and was just like, "God damn it, that's got to be rough."
Yeah, so this guy's gotten fairly prominent because he doesn't like the way you get prominent right now is going viral. I guess maybe that's all across American society. But so here he is. Let's play this first video, Matt, of him first debuting his piss drinking therapy. Well, maybe it won't play.
All things, okay? This has been around for centuries. We've got research after research, documented, peer-reviewed, published papers on urine. We do. We have this, okay? But they have been doing for the last 9 months now, and what he has right now is all anecdotal because, again, to put together a randomized double-blind placebo study with this is kind of tough, but I'm going to give you some stuff. You got to know. The chlorine dioxide was rough enough, but now drink urine.
Yeah. There you go. So a couple things. One, he calls the evidence antidotal.
Antidotal. I know. Yeah. When I first heard that, I was like, was that on purpose? Because it's the antidote. But then I feel like you could tell from what he says after that he meant anecdotal.
Yeah. He also it really hit for me that he said it's hard to put together a double-blind placebo study, which is understandable because you got to get convinced of half the people to drink something that tastes like pee but won't cure COVID.
Yeah. I'm not signing up for the piss COVID study. I'll tell you that much. Some of the medical studies I can maybe get with, they give you drugs and see what happens. I think they're doing stuff with mushrooms now or whatever. That could be fun. Yeah. But the piss COVID trials, no, I'm out on that. Who are these people in this room with him? It's just, I know we've talked about these loonies for so long now, but it's wild. It still is wild to me, the people that gained enough of a following to, fill a room, up with people and then tell them to drink their own piss. It's some wild shit going on out here, man.
He's famous to these people, though. He became prominent. He drives around the country, and he had a badge and a uniform made that say vaccine police. He also got his car masked to look like a police cruiser. He carries a bunch of fucking automatic weapons around in his car. He also has a goddamn flamethrower, Trey.
Yeah.
He has a flamethrower. He said he talks about how he's going to burn all the vaccines, and what really got big was he would go to Walmart. There's the flamethrower. He would go to Walmarts and different pharmacies and try to hand out basically arrest warrants and cease and desist orders about handing out vaccines and tell the pharmacists who worked at Walmart that they could be, there we go. He said you could be hung and executed to people that work at Walmart, which my sister used to work at Walmart, and I'm here to tell you they would welcome that.
I did not see that coming. But then what happens? He walks in here, he serves their papers, which is just like pages from a coloring book or whatever.
Yeah.
Some random shit. A manifesto he printed off, but he serves them their papers. I'm putting you under vaccine arrest or whatever.
Yeah.
then what happens? He's
Well, he gets-
escorted out.
Well, he's been arrested a few times, and I want to
Yeah,
show you his
okay.
mugshot because it's like you can tell he's still a crazy person's mugshot. I love him.
Dude,
Look at this guy.
I feel like he kind of looks like a freshly malted Ted Cruz right there.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, he's
Ted
like Ted
Cruz
Cruz's sexy
after
brother.
his
Yeah,
Ted Cruz
yeah.
after he shed his previous skin and it's fresh and new and kind of shiny and greasy and he steps out of the chamber. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's kind of what this guy's got going on right here, I think.
That's what I was going to say. It looks like Ted Cruz if his skin wasn't weirdly loose in his face. So he's been arrested, and this was fun. So this was from an article about his pretrial hearing. His court-appointed, speaking to a court-appointed attorney outside the courtroom, he could be heard stating, "Again, you can't. I'm competent. I'm not insane." So when you're telling your own lawyer you're competent and not insane, that's always cool.
No better way to establish your sanity than by screaming in a courtroom, "I'm not insane. I am sane." That's proven to be the best way to establish.
You ever
sanity.
been in a bar and someone's arguing with the bartender that they are in fact sober?
Yeah,
And
right.
No sober person argues with the bartender about how sober they are.
No.
What you do is quietly go to another bar. So but this guy, he goes on to go, "I am completely sane. I don't need an attorney." And yeah, so this guy is he's probably going to be a United States senator pretty soon, if not on the federal courts. So speaking of people drinking random toxic bullshit to cure COVID, here's a Q update. Our favorite Dallas. These people have been in Dallas, camped out at Dealey Plaza since around Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, still there.
So yeah. So currently, here's the latest headline: Dallas QAnon cultists are drinking toxic chemicals from a communal bowl. Family says. So not only are they drinking bleach, which the last guy, that key guy, was talking about drinking, like he was joking about how you thought drinking bleach was rough. Now you're drinking your own piss, which is obviously you shouldn't be doing either of those things. Although piss is probably honestly less toxic than bleach if you do it straight out of your dick, I think.
Well, surely. I mean,
Yeah.
damn, but that's a pretty low bar there, Mark.
Yeah,
Well, at least
yeah.
it's not bleach, I guess.
So here's a quote from the article. A woman who left her husband and children behind in Delaware to follow a fringe QAnon cult leader last month. This is the woman we talked about earlier whose family cut off her credit card, trying to make her come home.
Yeah.
She's been drinking a chemical cocktail containing chlorine dioxide, which is bleach, and industrial disinfectant, among other substances. She's very proud that she's the one mixing this and handing out, but they're drinking the COVID cure out of a bowl they all share.
Pass around. Yeah, then they'll grab hands, do a little prayer circle, something like that.
Yeah.
How
Oh, God.
are they not just dead now?
Oh,
they've
they're
been there
like-
so long doing all this crazy shit. Now they're drinking bleach and chemicals. Like, how are they,
Well, they-
alive?
Remember, they did all lose their sense of taste and smell a couple weeks ago, and they thought it was a government laser beam attack. Remember that? We talked about that?
Yeah.
So, oh God, these people are so great. Like they're never gonna. The date for when JFK Jr. is supposed to reappear is passed like 10 different times. They're never gonna fucking leave. Like, if you were a BLM protest of 4 people, the cops would have chased you out of Dealey Plaza months ago. But this couple hundred weirdos just get to live there like it's Jonestown until they finally kill themselves. So this just keeps getting stranger and stranger. This is just from today. There's a new ivermectin replacement. God,
Why
how
do
I
you need a
describe this?
replacement? Is it because there's a shortage? Is that why they say? But why do you need something different if it works so fucking good?
Maybe.
Why not just keep taking it?
Pharmacists have stopped giving it to them, I guess, is part of the
Okay.
problem. And maybe
All right.
pet stores are locking it up like it's like drugstores do baby food, baby formula. But so the new one, this new cocktail, this is pretty hilarious all around because it contains antidepressants and androgen inhibitors. Now, these drugs, I didn't know much about inhibitors till today, but here's the thing about antidepressants. They're recommending 40 milligrams of Prozac, which exceeds the 20 milligram recommendation dose for new patients. So that large of a dose of Prozac can have side effects like making you suicidal. So you ought not be doing that. Although to be fair to these lunatics, some doctors do recommend higher doses for treating stuff like bulimia. But being hungry is being.
Do they also, and look, I grew up in the rural South at the height of the pill epidemic, so I'm aware you can oftentimes just get a doctor to write you a script for some shit. But is
Yeah.
that like the central conceit of these strategies when they put them out? Is just like, find a good doctor that'll give you whatever you ask for, because they shouldn't be, they shouldn't be able to just get these things just because they want them. But I know that ain't how it works a lot of times, especially for white people.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Prozac works. I do know that Xanax is fairly easy to get if you only want to get it once. If you're just like, hey, I'm nervous to fly, can I have 6 Xanax? They will do that with no questions asked, basically. But if you go back next week and ask for 6 more, you're probably going to have questions, right?
Right.
But here's the funny. So the other drug we didn't know about, the inhibitors. Here's the funny thing about this, considering it's from these group of people, is they're mainly used for their use in transgender healthcare. These are hormone blockers. So yeah, so all these people who think that soy is turning men into females,
right?
And the Alex Jones crew thinks that frogs, like the chemicals in the water, are turning frogs gay. And he's including Prozac in that, are taking Prozac and gender changing hormones,
drugs voluntarily
to fight COVID.
That sounds made up. It sounds like so much shit with these people sounds made. That sounds like they're being trolled by somebody with that. Like the person who's coming out with this and telling them all this shit is just fucking with them and thinks it's hilarious or something. Because that's wild, man.
They were all on Viagra a couple weeks ago. They thought that was a new secret COVID cure.
Yeah,
but like Viagra is made by Pfizer, who also makes if you're against, if you think Big Pharma's poisoning you.
Yeah.
Why is Viagra?
Right. No, I know. Yeah, 100%. That yes, I'm glad you said that because I thought about that earlier too when I was looking through the outline. Like, I thought that was their big problem with the vaccine. Or I mean, I know they've got a bunch of them, but one of the big problems with the vaccine is we don't know what's in that. Nobody knows what's in that. But you know what's in androgen inhibitors or whatever? It's like, yeah, stuff inhibits androgen. You don't know what's in none of this shit. Why is this shit okay, but that shit isn't? Literally just because the internet tells you take this shit and the government tells you take that other shit. And the government's like ran by people that you don't like right now. And that's pretty much it.
The thing about conspiracy theories is it has to be a secret you discover. It can't be somebody that's official line. So anything that says what it does on the side of the Bible, you can't believe. You got to find a secret use for another thing, right? So I think that's just it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like because I think Big Pharma is evil too, but vaccines are very straightforward, simple science. It's not some the evil comes in the back end where they won't share their patents, where they're driving up the prices. Right, where COVID tests are like Walmart double the price of rapid tests because they're in such high demand right now. That shit's fucking evil. The science is very straightforward, but whatever. It's where we live.
Whatever, dude. All right, we'll start looking through some comments and stuff there, Matt. But Mark, what's this? What's the book ban or something about books? What's the book stuff you wanted to tell me about?
So
book stuff.
Yeah, so states have been cracking down. We talked a lot about school districts moving to allow parents to remove books, and a few states are trying to pass laws to let, for example, if a parent reports a teacher for teaching something they didn't want him to be teaching, the teacher could be fired and have to pay the Texas bounty law, pay the teacher would owe the parent $10,000 or some shit. Anyway, it's resulting in a lot of books being. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just I'm astounded that we can find enough people willing to be teachers in this country right now. You know what I mean? We start passing laws like that shit. Who the fuck is going to sign up to be a teacher in this godforsaken country when we institute shit like that?
These are also crazy. We talk a lot about class stuff. Last week we talked about how the January 6th insurrectionists are actually pretty well off for insurrectionists. And I was thinking about that because these are all bourgeois, exurban, petty tyrants to a certain degree. And I can't imagine they know any actual teachers.
Right.
Because if you talk to a teacher, their complaints and what their days are like are just trying to get through their fucking day.
For sure.
And teach math and shit.
My sister teaches some more erasers or whatever because they can't afford it and they don't have the money to, but they need them and shit like that.
My sister teaches first grade and she doesn't have nearly enough time to do communism. She's trying to keep them from eating their fucking underwear. You know, like she's too busy.
Yeah.
She's not trying to indoctrinate your kid except to teach them to be nice to each other. The closest she'll get to teach race stuff is be like, hey, you shouldn't be mean to somebody just because of how they look. That's
Right.
the extent of it. So, yeah.
All right. Justin Goldberg says, like the video. Thank you, Justin. Always forget. I do. Like the video, subscribe, tell your friends, all that good stuff you're supposed to do. But, Mark, I'd interrupted you kind of. You were...
Oh, I was going to wrap up. So a bunch of black authors are being notified that their books are being pulled from libraries, which is coming as a shock to them because their books have nothing to do with critical race theory or racism explicitly. One woman's book got pulled for having sex in it, and she was like, but there's no sex in it. I mean, they're teenagers in the book, so they think about sex and talk about sex, but nobody actually has any sex. So it's
literally just because they're written by black people is what's happening.
Yeah,
Doesn't even have anything to do with CRT at all. It's just black people wrote it, so it must say that white people are evil, and thus we got to get that out of there.
Yeah, I think that's it. They look at
who
the book
is
jacket.
allowed to be evil anymore? Just like demons, like, you know what I mean? Monsters, vampires, and stuff. Like who's allowed to be the villain in these stories anymore if it isn't fucking Nazis and slave owners? Like, it's crazy, man.
Oh shit! There was a video that went viral. I didn't load it up, but like there's a state senate hearing, I think in Indiana, where
it was Indiana.
Yeah, a guy was having a hearing talking to teachers, and he was like, "We need to be neutral when it comes to Marxism and Nazism."
And
the guy was like,
you got to be impartial.
She's like, "No, we take a stand though. We're against Nazism." And the state senator was like, trying to make it clear they didn't misspeak. Was like, "No, we should teach them what they're about, but we should be neutral about Nazism." It's like, oh fuck.
All right. I mean, hey, look, they had good uniforms. All right.
Hugo Boss, yeah.
Hitler was anti-smoking, I think I heard once. Like, you know, you just gotta be, he loved dogs, yes. Was an artist. You gotta be even-handed, Mark. That's all this guy's trying to say.
Yeah.
And also the genocide and crimes against humanity and all that. But we cover that too, but you just can't take a stance on those. You can't just be saying that genocide is bad automatically. That's indoctrination. Can't be brainwashing kids. They might be into genocide.
If you start teaching kids that the genocide of the Jews is wrong, they might start thinking the genocide of the Native Americans was wrong. We can't have that. Right?
No, we won that one. That's what they need to be taught. Karen Butcher from YouTube says, are people in other countries as gullible as Americans when it comes to COVID vaccines? I'm other country dumb generally. I know that they have their dipshits too, because every now and then I'll see a headline or a video clip or something from some lunatic in a different country doing a similar type of thing, showing their ass in a pharmacy or whatever. I know they exist, but I have no idea the prevalence of it though compared to us. Surely we're worse, but do you know anything about it?
We have lower vaccine uptake than the other countries that have it available. I could throw out theories why I think American exceptionalism leads us to think we're far more the heroes of the story than other people are. Nobody's running around Australia being like, we're taught that we're the number one country in the world and we deserve to dominate everything, and I'm the hero of this story, and I will always be like, I don't think it's quite as prevalent over there because they're not so gassed up on their own bullshit. They didn't go to the moon.
Yeah, they didn't go to the moon, and it ain't called Captain Australia, Mark. All right?
That's it.
Captain America for a reason, God damn it. Daniel Boulant or Boulant, old Danny Boulant says from Facebook says, do we need to be neutral about 9/11 too? It's a very good fucking point, in my opinion, Daniel. I don't know why it would be any different, but they don't feel that way. But of course, I mean, no, we shouldn't. But if you're that guy, why would that guy say you shouldn't have to be impartial about 9/11? What makes that different from Hitler in that guy's eyes? You know,
I mean, if you give him truth serum, Hitler's white.
Muslims, the terrorists were they're brown Muslims, and that's what and the target was America instead of all those European Jews and stuff. So yes, that is 100% what makes it different to that guy. But that's a good point. From YouTube, Traverse GOP has been attacking public education ever since desegregation. They push white Christian schools funded by tax subsidies. Yeah, separation of church and state is in their way as they march to white Christian fascism. I remember when Betsy DeVos got the Secretary of Education early on, there was talks about like privatizing schools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking how fucking insane that was. As somebody that grew up in Clay County, Tennessee, I mean, the middle of nowhere, I just can't imagine how that could ever work in a place like that. Other than just Sunday school is just school now. We just have to go to school at the literal church because there ain't going to be no fucking private school in Clay County. I can tell you that much.
It's wild because so like someone made this point I was reading about the other day that I mean I think everyone knows that college used to be way less expensive. Like in the 70s, public college was like a few $100 a semester for classes, a little bit more for room and board or whatever, but it was very affordable. And it started getting financialized and defunded, and now public university is like $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year, right? And it was pretty much a response. Ronald Reagan explicitly said this in the 70s that the reason we lost the Vietnam War is because of the student protest movement. So we got to make college much harder to go to, so these fucking hippies won't fuck up the country.
Can't get them dirty barefoot hippies in there anymore. Make it expensive, price the hippies out, and also you know, blacks and Mexicans them too. That also will make it prohibitive for them, which is a big plus if you're a Ronald Reagan acolyte. So yeah, they was really on some shit. Reagan and them. Mick Jett from YouTube says they're neutral about the insurrection. Yeah, they are. Can't call them terrorists. They're just people that punch cops. That's all they were.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. We're not against punching cops in all circumstances. But again, it depends on terrorism depends on the motive. What are you doing it for? Right.
Right. Yes. What is the end? You know, the end result. If it's to overthrow a fucking government, pretty sure that's some terrorist insurrection stuff. The Dark Canuck says, up here, we got a lady who claims she's queen of Canada, crazy anti-vaxxer. I think we covered her, didn't we?
Yeah.
Didn't we cover her? It's been a long time ago now, but yeah.
She's a Philippine immigrant. Let me look up her name, but she's awesome. She for a while she had a large following you should know about, but she wasn't on the social media platforms they were on. She's just one lady talking into a void, had no idea she had 500,000 people watching her videos. She's the one who had the followers, just like the vaccine cop we talked about earlier, going to serve Walmart for pharmacists with papers. She had followers going around to different police stations, serving them with cease and desist orders from the Queen of Canada.
That's right. Yeah. The Queen of Canada. Yeah. Decrees.
Yeah,
that you must stop being cops.
Dedulo is her name, Queen Dedulo. Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah,
man, crazy people having a real moment in history, man.
The internet makes them so easy for them to find each other.
Absolutely, yes. The internet brings them together, amplifies their voices, all that stuff. But we got cat memes and stuff too, so it ain't all bad. And this show, am I right? Rose from YouTube says, Tennessee tried to pass a law a few years ago letting parents form committees to approve public library books, if I recall correctly, because that would go swell. Yeah, that ain't it, Mark.
It's like the one thing they're always right about with cancel culture is, are you too weak to read something you disagree with or that offends you? Right. So I read something that disagrees with me all the time. Like I read Lolita. You know what I didn't do? Move to crypto land.
Right.
So it's like you don't like these guys they're fucking insane.
That's the thing. We're the snowflakes and everything, but they are the most overly sensitive people on planet Earth. And they can't. They just canceling they're canceling all of black authordom right now just because they can't. They're too fragile to be told the fucking truth. Aaron McCullough.
It's not even about. Before you get to that, because I feel like you're gonna have a rant. They'll probably go through the end of the show about this. It's gonna be good. So these people also have never talked. They're not taught the kids, the teachers. But they also haven't talked to kids, because the idea that a kid's just gonna agree with the last thing he read. Kids rebel against literally everything you put in front of them. If you want a kid to be conservative, make him read a bunch of liberal books, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it definitely, I thought the whole idea was exposing kids to any number of differing philosophies and ways of thought and life experiences and ideas, and letting them fucking work it out, with your guidance. I thought that was supposed to be the whole deal, but apparently not. It's just fucking Christian lit until you graduate,
Right.
and then you get
Right.
married, and and that's it.
And then you don't know how to fuck, and you're both miserable.
That's right.
So, Trey, I've read both Unabomber's Manifesto and the Satanic Bible, and I've only agreed with about 70% of both. So I don't know.
Yeah, Aaron McCullough from Facebook says, "How about Georgia knocking Alabama off its high horse?" Yeah, I texted our group thread last night. I said, "Today is a great day for not Alabama and therefore the world." And of course, I mean that in football terms. If you're from anywhere but Alabama, and you care even a modicum about college football, then I feel like you're thrilled today. Sorry, Alabama. Actually, I'm not sorry, Alabama. You've won fucking 6 or 7 now. You'll be all right without the 7th or 8th or whatever the hell it is. And they'll be right back there last year too. But for now, they lost, and it was sweet, and fuck them. And Corey Forster, who's from Georgia and a big Dogs fan, was here at my house watching it, and he about damn cried, lost his mind, got drunker than hell, screaming all over the place, and it was, it was very sweet.
I would have cried if I was a Georgia fan. I cried last week watching my favorite basketball player get his jersey retired. But here's the thing about to Bama fans, like, you're the Death Star, right?
Yes.
And the upside of being the Death Star is you win most fights you're in.
Yeah.
The downside of being the Death Star is when you get blown up, the rest of us are all Ewoks dancing around.
Yes,
so it's
absolutely.
Like, that's what it is.
That's right. Justin Goldberg says Cho must be over the moon. Yeah, no, he really was. He was thrilled, and he was saying during the game, he's like, just once in my life, man. He's like, he's like, you're a Tennessee fan, and even you have experienced it in your lifetime, and you guys are terrible. He wasn't being that mean about it, even though that is true. But I was 12 when Tennessee won, and it's cool as a kid too. Me and my buddies, we were fucking thrilled, but we couldn't get drunk. Mark is what I'm saying. We were 12, couldn't get hammered. We're not from Philadelphia. We're not gonna get drunk at 12. I don't even know why I picked Philadelphia. It just seemed right. I bet they get drunk early in Philly.
Do you think if the deal was with Corey, if you graduate from the University of Georgia, you can have a college. So if you have to go to college and graduate, then you get a title. Would he have done it?
Oh, he would tell you that he would love. Corey to this day says that he will one day graduate from the University of Georgia in Athens.
Okay.
And and I told him when he first told me that, I like snickered because I thought he was doing a thing. And I thought he was fucking around, and then I was like, oh man, I feel bad. I feel like you remember in Cool Runnings when Yul Brynner told Sanka Coffee he was going to live in Buckingham Palace one day, and he laughed at him. I was like, that's how I feel right now. No, he was saying that. Actually, he's kind of shifted now to saying that one day Georgia will obviously give him an honorary degree for hitting so hard. So that's more where he's headed now. But either way, he's on one. Michael Waldrop says, I'm a Georgia native and lifelong fan. I cried last night. I remember the last time we won back in 1980. Yeah. I'm just glad it's somebody else. That's all I'm saying. Especially Alabama, but also just it ain't Alabama or Ohio State or Clemson. And that also, it's just the same damn teams every year. And now Georgia will be one of them, but they had to get one first, and now they have. So,
well, you and I are sports happiness rules. Sports hurts far more than it should. And NFL playoffs just started. You're a Raiders and Titans fan, and I'm a Cowboys fan. So we got a lot of pain coming. You have to feel it twice.
Nothing but pain, baby.
Yeah.
As far as the Raiders go, I'm just glad, dude, after the fucking coach got fired for racism and the number one wide receiver killed a lady while drunk horrifically, I mean, just them making it. Everything's gravy now. But the Titans, they should. I mean, I expect them to win it all, Mark. That's my expectation. I don't know why.
All right.
And all of Tennessee sports history would suggest otherwise, but we will see what happens. Okay, so
get your money down, folks. You got Trey's lock of the week.
Yeah. Mark should be the first to tell you that I am perhaps the worst sports bettor on planet Earth. I used to send them my bets, and I don't put a lot of money on it. I just do it for fun, nickel and diamond that shit. But I'd send them my bets every week and be like, all right, if you want to do the opposite of this, go ahead. And they wouldn't. But if y'all would have, you'd have made a shitload of money last year. That's all I'm saying. You never go broke betting the opposite of what I think. But anyway, thank y'all again for being here. If you want a Weekly Skews shirt, you can go to weeklyskews.com. You can go to wellreadcomedy.com for tickets if you want to see us live, as long as you're vaccinated, all that good stuff. Like, subscribe, tell your mama and them, and come back next week, and we'll be right here waiting. Say you love you, bye.